Hola, buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches por la hora que sea. Bienvenidos otra vez. Te doy la bienvenida a mi canal Spanish Blueprints. Yo soy tu host, Spanish Blueprints. Bueno, mejor, yo soy Josué, and this is Spanish Blueprints. Thank you for joining. Today we'll be talking about nuestras metas de idiomas, our language goals for 2023, because it is coming very, very soon here. And I love to talk about goals and what I want to accomplish. And also I want us to talk about this as well, because it's very important for me to have a community, a language learning community. And I never thought that it was actually really important until this year, mostly, and a little bit of last year. I love to be able to communicate and connect with other language learners and to learn from them, learn about the different ideas that they have for learning languages. How are they studying, and also for motivation as well. So that's why I want to have our little community where we can talk everything about language learning and Spanish, the Spanish language as well. Y también mira, enfócate en la cuesta. We have a poll in the chat here, which says, how many language goals do you want to reach in 2023 in 2023? So one person so far has said that they want to reach between 1 to 5 goals for 2023. Now, as far as me, en mi caso, todavía yo no tengo una calidad, yo no tengo una cifra. I don't have a quantity of goals yet that I would like to reach. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking about all the different goals that I want. But I do have, they're probably more than 10, different goals that I would like to reach. But I will say that they're like the process that I have for making goals is a lot different than what I had last year. So I'm definitely have like a completely different strategy than I've had before in the past. Like my whole view on setting language goals, reaching language goals is I would say is fairly different now, for many different reasons. Just experiences this year with learning Spanish and learning French. So that should be very fun. Also, déjame saber in the chat. Let me know where you are from and how long you've been learning Spanish for. Yo soy de los Estados Unidos. I am from the United States, and I've been learning Spanish for about, I always have to count. I would like to say like 6 years in school, and then 3 years on my own. So let me know that in the chat here. And make sure that you like the live stream as well and share it with any of your friends. If you have any other friends who are learning languages in general or learning Spanish, whoever, you can share this live stream with them so they can join in the conversation that we're having today. La conversación que tenemos hoy. Y ahora mismo tenemos 2 votes, 2 votes. For how many language goals do you want to reach in 2023? We have 2 for 1 to 5 goals, language goals. So that's good to see. I like when people have goals, have language goals, because it's very difficult to learn a language if you don't have goals. At least for me, it is. I think for other people, it can be too. Because when I first started learning on my own, like learning Spanish on my own, I didn't really have too many goals. Like they weren't very specific. I was just kind of just studying kind of whatever for as long as I could and as much as I could. I didn't really have that much direction because I didn't really know what I was doing necessarily, trying to learn, a new language as an adult and things like that. So it was all fairly new to me. Oh, okay, perfecto. So one big thing that I would definitely add to my list of goals for next year is culture. So Latino culture, Hispanic culture, something that has to do with culture. Learning the particular culture, not necessarily everything about like a particular Spanish speaking country's culture, but maybe just like a specific holiday or something like that, or music, art, something like that can really help you to immerse yourself in the Spanish language, because it's not just about, saying words and phrases correctly, but it's about, learning through the eyes of of the people that you are trying to learn from. In this case for me is it's Spanish and also a little bit of French. But I'll talk right now about, with Spanish. I'm trying to learn Spanish, so I like to, know what their perspective is on life. What is their perspective on, certain topics and things like that. And that helps me understand more about the Spanish language in that way, just because of how connected the culture is to a language. They're also, they're not just connected; they're inseparable. They go together. So that's something that I definitely want to learn for next year. Like this year, I had no idea that I was going to get like a really good introduction into the one Mexican holiday, Dia de los Muertos. I never knew what it was until this year, so that was really interesting to find out. Even though I've been, living in the, U.S. my whole life, and there's plenty of Mexicans that celebrate it here. Interesting enough, so I thought that was kind of it was kind of like random thing. I didn't know that there is. Like I said, I didn't know anything about the holiday. I didn't know anything about the celebrations. I was looking for events to do around, around my city. Then I was like, oh, this is going on. So I went there, and it was a really amazing experience. Got to talk to a decent amount of people about, what the celebration was about, and why they're wearing this, why they're wearing like a trena, and things like that. So that was like a really fun experience, and I would say like a little bit of like culture shock too, because I was able to learn that I was able to learn that Dia de los Muertos is not does not have any association with Halloween here in the U.S. So that was something that I had to learn, and something that really kind of shook me. I was like, oh, I didn't know that this is. I thought it was Halloween. It's not Halloween. So it's completely different holiday. Or I guess Halloween's not really a holiday or a tradition. Different tradition, different type of celebration. They celebrate it differently. What they're wearing means it has different symbolization. So that definitely had a big impact on the way I see things, as far as the Mexican culture. So that was really fun. I had two videos on that, so you should go watch those. I was trying to go for the second day. Like the first day I went and made a video, got some video recording of, was over the weekend, but then the official day was on, I think, Tuesday and Wednesday, or Monday, whatever day it was, November 1st and November 2nd, like the official 2 days that they were being celebrated. Yeah, so that was on Wednesday. No, that was on Tuesday and Wednesday. So I thought that was that was a lot of fun. Being able to talk to some people at the events, and know like, oh, what La Catrina was, and know that they weren't actually like celebrating death, which is what I was about, but it was actually about celebrating life. So that was like a big kind of mentality change. Oh, they're celebrating the life of their past loved ones. They're not just like celebrating like death or whatever. But they're waiting. They do all the celebration. They make the altars and everything, and in wait of them to return for this celebration, or I'll say for this particular day, November 1st and November 2nd, waiting for their family members, to return for a little bit, and then go back. So that was a really fun experience. Changed my mentality on like certain things, and just overall take a really good experience. Be able to kind of dive more into the Spanish language, dive more into Mexican culture, then also being able to connect with others as well. Yeah, connect with is it allows me to connect more with Mexicans now, because I can have like, there's another topic that I can have a conversation about, which is this holiday. So that's something that's really big, and it's very big in Mexico, very big in Mexico. And then in the United States, Mexicans who live here, some of them celebrate it as well. So there's a lot to talk about. Yeah, so definitely, I would definitely include that as part of your language goals. That's one thing. Some form of culture, trying to learn the culture of a particular country. Um, yeah, the culture of a specific Spanish speaking country. It could be more, whichever one you want. Kind of just depends, kind of what your goals are too. Because I mean, there's only so many things that you can learn. But I definitely recommend that. Even if you're not, let's say, like having conversations with Spanish speakers yet, you're mostly just learning the words and phrases, and that's it. I think that's still pretty important to learn just for the future, because in the future you will be speaking Spanish. That is uh, definitely a truth for your journey. You will be speaking Spanish eventually. You'll be speaking Spanish with Spanish speakers in the future. AEO, un gusto verte otra vez. Me da mucho gusto verte otra vez. Muchas gracias por venir. Y AEO es más interesante que Halloween. Yo diría lo mismo. Es súper, muchísimo más interesante que Halloween, desde mi punto de vista, porque no salen a conseguir los dulces. Sí, viste por eso. Y también porque hay desfiles, hay música, desfiles, mucha comida, y la pinta de la cara, eso pasa también. La gente se visten, pero con los trajes y los vestidos que veas, por los vestidos que veas en Día de los Muertos, lleva mucho tiempo haciéndolos, fabricándolos. Y eso me llamó la atención muchísimo, porque cuánto tiempo se dedica a preparar para ese día. Eso es lo que me llama la atención mucho. I really liked, how dedicated they were, as far as how long it took for them to, prepare all these different things. Y también con los altares. Los altares también tomó mucho tiempo para crear esto. Y ese altar, o estos altares, fueron construidos literalmente por sus queridos, ay Dios, por sus familiares que han fallecido. So I thought that was really interesting, that they spent so much time making these altars, and it was, just for their family members that had passed on. Y también como la gente estaban mostrando lo que crearon, con su altar, explicando qué significa cada parte de este altar. Ok, yo tengo esta foto significa cualquiera sea. Y este plato significa su plato favorito, cuando estaba viva. O, por ejemplo, ¿qué más? Otras cositas también que se ponen en los altares, que, que es muy simbólico para la familia, o, ay, o, claro que sí, o muestra algo sobre la familia y de la persona. O sea, suena a una tradición muy profundo. Claro que sí, sí, es muy profundo. And it has, from who I was talking with at the event, they are from, como la tradición vino, yo creo, de los nativos, como like the Mayans, and otro tribu. Right now, I don't remember. But like part of the tradition came from, I don't know if it's like the whole tradition came from it, but over time, como con tiempo cambia un poquito. But I know like definitely some of it comes from, like, the native tribes of Mexico, and I guess the United States as well. So I thought that was pretty interesting too, especially because of, if you watch like my video, you'll see them blessing the altars as well. So I thought that was really interesting. There's one guy, he was like blowing out of a conch shell, whatever it's called, and then they were, sí, claro que sí. And that you can see the way that they were dressing too. It's very different. It looks very, more like, native Native American type of wear. So that was really interesting. And then I was like, they were actually talking in the native language too when they were blessing the altars. By blessing, I just mean they were walking around the altars. And it was almost like they were como estaban preparando para la llegada de los muertos, para que vengan. So they were blessing the altars with like little sticks that como like they were smoking or something like that. Like that, and también estaba platicando en un idioma nativo. I know it was a native language because I can understand it. Number one, and then number two, because just like the way what they were wearing. So like, you'll see that like right away, like in that video, what they were wearing, how it looks, more like kind of Mayan like, so to speak. So that was, yes, eso fue súper interesante y muy llamativo también. AOC, nunca la vi tu video en eso. Oh, you haven't seen it yet? Yeah, you gotta watch. I mean, I have two different videos. The first one, is mostly me walking around one of the events, and then I'm trying to think, walking around the different events or the one event, and then I had like one interview. But then the second one that I made has more explanation about a little bit more explanation about like the altar and everything because I interviewed one woman and she was explaining what the altar means and things like that. And she explained kind of what her outfit was about, de qué se trata o qué significa su vestido, like what does that mean, what is a Catarina. And then she was showing me the altar that she made. So yeah, it's super interesante. I like that a lot. So hopefully one day I'll be able to go and celebrate in Mexico. Because in Mexico, it's really, really big what they did. I mean, it was really big. But like there they have, a lot bigger parade. They have like a huge parade. And yeah, I think it's pretty amazing how like you said, como qué tan profundo este día festivo es bien grande y gigantesco. Pensé que será una fila. Es un desfile. So, una fila, déjame ver. Un desfile. So, yeah, desfile, yeah, desfile, not just file. Oh, fila, he says fila. Yeah, so desfile is a parade, desfile. I'm trying to think of is fila a line? Yeah, so okay, fila in Spanish is just a line. So it could be like a line of people, una fila. Pero desfile is a parade. So un poco diferente. Claro, desfile. And now we have, 3 votes. How many language goals do you want to reach in 2023? We have 1 for 0 goals, 0 language goals, and then 2 votes for 1 to 5 language goals. For those who are coming in, make sure that you answer that question here in the chat. How many language goals do you want to reach in 2023? And also like this live stream as well. Give it a thumbs up and share this live stream with any of your friends. If you have any friends who are interested in learning Spanish or any friends who are interested in learning languages in general. Porque vamos a hablar sobre cualquier tema, sobre los idiomas, sobre el aprendizaje de los idiomas. So like one of the first goals that I kind of recommend everybody to have is something about culture, learning a little, like just a little bit of the culture of the country or of a particular country, of the language, where the language is spoken at, where your target language is spoken at. So like for me, Spanish speaking countries, I would want to learn some form of culture about Colombia or Mexico or Argentina or la República Dominicana, just something. It could be art. It could be music. It could be something about the food. I like to learn different cultural items like that because you get to really get more immersed into the language because language and culture they're together. They're not separate. They're inseparable. I would say you'll learn a lot more about you learn a lot more about the Spanish language that way by learning about the culture. Oscuro. Yo se es una tradición un poco oscuro. Yo, I mean, bueno. I think it's for me. I thought it was como un poco oscuro, but like it's all about life. So it seems kind of like it, but yeah, it's really just celebrating life, which is very fascinating because I didn't think about that. I thought it was all about death, but no, it's actually about life. So it's the opposite of what I thought. It's just like I don't know. It's different if you're not accustomed to if you didn't grow up being around that kind of thing, seeing skeletons and things like that. Then it's going to be it just it's different. Halloween, I would say like is like more dark. I don't know like the history behind Halloween like that. But Halloween is like specifically supposed to be like really dark and like scary and stuff. But then Dia de los Muertos is actually like the opposite. It's supposed to be all about life, celebrating the life of your family members and celebrating their arrival again for a few days, or I don't know how long it's supposed to be, if it's like a day or 2 days or whatnot. So yeah, it's definitely a very interesting holiday, that's for sure. Yeah, so make sure you check out those videos. Actually, I'll put the what I was talking about in the chat here too. And yeah, I've been thinking. I already started thinking about my goals for next year a lot primarily because I keep saying that. Let's see, we're at the end of November. No, we're in the middle, almost to the middle of November, or we are in the middle of November. And thanks. At least in the United States, we have Thanksgiving. That's going to be in a couple weeks. So I'll be a little busy with that. And then December rolls around. December gets really busy as well. United States, or I guess across the world, whatnot. But specifically where I live, the United States, because it's going to be Christmas and things like that. So be busy again. So that's why I want to talk about language goals right now. I want to think about them before I get to 2023 because once we get to the new year, I want to just start studying for and start studying towards these new goals or different goals that I have. I don't want to have to like rush and think of like, oh, what am I going to do this year? I don't want that to happen because that was basically me kind of this year or the beginning of this year a little bit. So I kind of want to make sure that I'm prepared. I want to make sure that all of us are prepared as well for this new year. So we don't have to rush or anything like that, but we're very clear on what we want, and we put a lot of thought because I think I put a lot of emphasis on self reflection because that's how I basically reached to where I'm at today with my current Spanish level is doing a lot of reflection, and that's why I try to think about as much as possible and think about right now, thinking about my goals. Okay, why do I want to reach these goals? And all these goals are really based off how I can get better, as a Spanish learner. For example, if I want to say, or let's say like one of my goals, I want to read more books. And I think about, well, why do I want to read more books? Well, I want to read more books because it's actually going to help me become more of a fluent Spanish speaker. I'll become more fluent Spanish speaker by reading books because I'm learning more about sentence structure. I see the different vocabulary words, day in, day out. So then that's also going to increase my memory as well. I'm going to remember, how the sentence was written out. Then I'll be able to use them. So things like that. I like to always think about, kind of think ahead and think about my goals, in that way. Enterrado. E-I-E-I-O. Sí, enterrado, burial, no sé. Es una celebración de la vida. Sí, enterrado is, yeah, like a burial. Or enterrando, enterrar is like the actual act, como la acción, el verbo. Enterrado es como una persona que ya está. Enterrado es como una persona que ya está bajo la tierra, ya está en la tierra. Enterrado. Ella es en el pasado. I don't know if they go to. I'm not sure if they go to the actual the burial site. So that should be a good question to ask. I don't know if they actually go to their family members' graves at all. I didn't ask that, but maybe. And then I'll make sure that I put the video in the chat as well, so you know which one I am referring to. Oh, not that one. And the music was great, and there was some dancing. I didn't dance though. I should have danced. I didn't dance though, but not too many people were dancing. Some places were, but I don't know how to dance la cumbia. And like most of the music I heard was cumbia, which I'm not good at. Not the best cumbia dancer. So that's the video. Wait, let me make sure that's the right one. So that's the video I'm talking about right now. Well, you'll see the explanation of the altar of a woman talking about una mujer platicando sobre su altar, que significa su altar y para quién se construyó también. O estuvo construido para quién. And then yeah, the first one too was on October 31st was the first one that I made. So that's something I definitely want to do in the future. I want to learn more about how different like what are the other celebrations that Mexico has. Like I don't know what other como dia festivos que tengan ahí que se celebran ahí. I don't know. So that'd be kind of cool. And then also I want to learn more, maybe like for example, like how does Mexico celebrate Christmas, or how does I don't know Argentina celebrate Christmas if they do. I don't know. So I want to learn more about that as well, since we don't have holidays coming up and things like that. That'd be kind of cool. AEAEO says yo vi una entrevista en la tema es una cultura muy profunda. Claro que sí. Very, very, very profunda. Y también no te olvides que esto es el tema, no es la tema. This is like one of those hard words where where it's actually a masculine, or it's a masculine noun. Es un sustantivo masculino, aunque se termine en una A. So la tema should be el tema, just in case you were interested in knowing that. But yeah, I think what's really cool is that you have the combination of cultures. So you have Spanish culture from Spain, you have Spanish culture from Spain, and then you have, of course, some African culture as well, mixed together with the native culture, and that's something that's always fascinated me as well. Fascinated me, yeah, that's how you say it in English. Me fascina mucho la mezcla de culturas, la mezcla de los días festivos, because it's not just like in this case, it's a mixture of like this holiday is a mixture of the native tribe celebrations, and mixed with the Spanish. So I think that's very interesting as well. A lot of these That's how like a lot of these holidays are. It's a mixture of cultures. So it's kind of really interesting. And like in this case, I'm learning more about the native culture, because that's kind of where it derives from. So that's why like it really interests me. Me fascina mucho. Me llama la atención conocer más de esos días. And then again, now you have something more to talk about, with the Spanish speaker. You have something else that you can have a conversation about. Let's say someone is very passionate about, Dia de los Muertos, and you might, find, many people who are. If you're in Mexico, then you can probably talk all day about it. You can talk, more than one day about Dia de los Muertos, with someone. So that's kind of the like a really good thing about learning about the culture behind the language. Like in that scenario right there, I can talk a lot about Dia de los Muertos now because I've had the experience. I was there to, be able to kind of partake a little bit in the celebration, and I have more knowledge about, what it is, and now I can have a conversation about it. Versus last month, I didn't know anything about Dia de los Muertos, so can only have, so much of a conversation about it. I can like learn about it, but I can't really like speak on it because I don't, I never experienced it. I never knew anything about it. I don't know what it means. But now it's like, oh, I have the experience. I was, with people who were celebrating it. I saw what they did. So now I'm able to have a conversation about the Dia de los Muertos, um, like a more deeper conversation because I have more knowledge about it. Yeah. AEAO says, creo que familiares diferentes lo celebran en propias maneras. Yeah. That they, different families, celebrate it in their own different way. Yep. That's what my boss says. Oh, my old boss, that's what she told me. They kind of celebrated their own kind of way. So yeah, it definitely would be cool to kind of go into like someone's house and see how they do it as well. The one thing I wish it was longer than 2 days. That's the only thing I really wish. I wish it was longer than 2 days. Unfortunately, it's only 2 days. But yeah, it was good. I was happy I was able to to see it a little bit. And let me pull up my this other page here. And then I don't think I'm gonna do this also for next year. I'm gonna do less of like quantities for my goals. Like, well, this year's like the first real, I'll say like the first real year that I had like really solid goals. Before I was just kind of doing whatever. I was never thinking about goals like that. When I had some, I didn't know that they were goals. I was just writing down things that I wanted to increase. Like, oh, I want to read more. I want to watch more TV shows. But like I wasn't really thinking about like, oh, they're actually goals. So this year I transitioned to thinking about, okay, I want to have specific goals that I want to reach. But now for next year, I'm kind of changing it up a little bit because I don't want quantities. This year I had quantities like, oh, I want to read 4 books. I want to memorize 5 songs, and let's see what else. I want to memorize 5 songs. I want to translate between English and Spanish for an hour. I want to, what are the ones? Let's see. Yeah, I want to memorize 5 phrases a week. I want to watch something for 15 minutes a day. So for me, like for next year, I'm going to do less of that because I don't like having quantities because usually I don't really reach quantities like that. I usually never do. Um, so for me, it's going to be a little bit more fun when I'm not thinking about just trying to get a number. But that's just for me personally. I think it's very important to a certain extent for numbers for you to like go for actual numbers when you are just beginning in the language. Like if you're a complete beginner, because you kind of need the extra push. For example, let's say like for me with French, I know I need to start thinking more about like the a specific number to a certain extent because I haven't been studying French that much to be honest. Not as much as I should be. So, and that's because I'm not focusing on any goals and I'm kind of just being lazy-ish with it. So that's why for me it would be really nice to have or to start, thinking more about, okay, hey, I want to learn 5 phrases this week. I want to learn, 5 new words every single day. I think it's really important at the beginning because you need that structure in the beginning. Right now, I'm already a fluent Spanish speaker, and for me now, it's less about numbers. I don't need numbers. I just need to practice more in general. I need to practice more. The time it can fluctuate a lot, but with French, I really do need to be learning like a decent amount of words. I got to build up my vocabulary before I could even get to a conversational level. Um, except for books is a little bit different. Like with Spanish, yeah, I can say like, okay, that's a little bit different. That's You kind of have to like read like a certain amount of pages or kind of have that in mind if you want to read a book to a certain extent, or you're never going to finish it. Like if your goal is to finish a book in 5 months, but you don't know how many pages that you need to read, then that's you might not even like get finish the book. Okay, AAO says, ask, ¿es único en México o todos las hispanohablantes? ¿Pero de qué? ¿Qué es único? ¿Estás hablando, te estás refiriendo a este día festivo, Día de los Muertos? If you are, I think so. Creo que sí. Yo creo que sí, México, in the United States. I say that because, Mexico was was a lot bigger back in the day. But I think, yeah, primarily in Mexico, from I know. But I don't know what Spain has something. I don't know. Spain has some interesting holidays as well. I need to learn about. I don't know if they have any similar, if they have a similar holiday. But I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I have to look that up because I know they do have. I feel like they have some similar traditions, maybe. But yeah, I had to look that up. But it's definitely a Mexican thing or a Mexico thing. Very beautiful though. Very beautiful. Kind of makes you want to cry. Kind of makes you want to cry a little bit. Just a little bit. Um, yeah, if you're coming in, make sure that you vote. Make sure that you vote with the questionnaire, the poll in the chat. How many language goals do you want to reach in 2023? And then also make sure that you like this live stream, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. We're getting close to 1,000, which is absolutely amazing. I can't believe it. We're actually at our 11th month anniversary, which would have been yesterday. So next month, December 12th, will be a full year with this channel. So that's pretty exciting. I can't believe it. It's already almost been a whole year. And it went by actually incredibly fast. Yeah, but yeah, thanks for all y'all for making that happen and supporting the channel, watching videos. So it's been very fun and very exciting. What was I going? What was I going with that? Oh yeah, just make sure that like the live stream. Give the live stream a thumbs up because right now I think still zero. What else? What other language goals do I have? Well, I don't want to talk about just mine. I want to know from you. I want to know from y'all. What are some of your language goals? Let me know in the chat here. What are some of your language goals for 2023 specifically? Other live streams we talked about, we reflected on our language goals of this year, but this specific live stream, I want to talk about our language goals for next year, 2023. So let me know in the chat here, and we can talk about those a little bit. And then now we have 5 votes for the question: how many language goals do you want to reach in 2023? We have 1 vote for zero goals. Then we have 4 votes for 1 to 5 language goals. So I would like to know, what are those language goals that you have? And I'm really interested. We don't have any goals, or we don't have anybody who has voted for more than 5 goals. I'm actually kind of surprised by that one. You just have 1 to 5 goals. I have way too many. I think if I put down all the goals that I want to reach for next year, it'd probably be more than 20. I'll say for Spanish specifically. If I add French, that would be a lot. That would be a lot more, of course. But with Spanish, I probably have, let's see, my list right now, which is not complete, I have 10 different language goals that I want to reach with Spanish. And then French is a little bit, it's different. It's different. I'm at a different stage or a different part of the journey, complete beginner with French versus more advanced learner with Spanish. So it's different goal wise, that's for sure. Definitely different goal wise. Let me know in the chat, what are your language goals? Trying to think what, and then I'll show you some of what my goals are. Lot has to do with more reading. AEAO says, tengo algunos metas por ahora mismo, no tengo ninguno por el futuro. Okay. So AEAO says, I have some goals for right now, but not for the future. And I mean, I would say like those are technically still for the future though, because like if your goals don't change from now until next year, those are kind of like your future goals too. But like, let me know what those goals are. Let me know what your goals are right now. Yeah, what your language goals are right now. If you don't have any for the future, which is interesting. I feel like me. I feel like for me, I've always had new goals. But then, yeah, the previous live stream, someone told me, said, "Oh, I don't have any new goals. I have the same ones that I have. I have the same ones that I had from last year." So I was like, "Oh, that's kind of new for me." Follower Christ Jesus says, "I started learning Spanish some time ago, but stopped. Plan on taking it back up though. Not sure when. Start today." That is eso es mi respuesta. La respuesta mía es que debes de empezar ahora mismo, literalmente. That you should start today. Yeah, definitely don't wait on that, because waiting on like trying to start something, yeah, like more than likely, like you won't pick it back up. That is from experience. The only reason why I started learning Spanish again, because I quit Spanish in high school, was because I was obligated to do it, or I was obligated to learn a language in college. If I wasn't obligated to learn a language in college, more than likely I wouldn't have picked Spanish back up. But that was 6 years. So I went from high school, I was learning Spanish. When I was 16 years old, sophomore year, then I quit because it was too hard. I didn't care about learning any languages. And then I started learning Spanish again when I turned 22. So what is that? How many years is that? 4. So I had a 6 year gap. And the only reason why I started learning Spanish again was because I had to take a language to graduate. And that was kind of the easiest one, because it's the only language I knew. But definitely start today. It could be listening to a song. It could be listening to a song in Spanish, or just maybe writing out some words that you remember in Spanish. Something simple like that. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. But definitely start today. Start today. Figure out why you want to learn Spanish. Figure out what you want to learn. Kind of like figure out what you want to learn. Like kind of figure out like a study plan. Like I'm gonna start learning some verbs today. I'm gonna start learning some nouns today. Things like that. Super simple. Super simple things. And yeah. AEAO says, dedico todo este mes a escuchar hispanohablantes. Okay, AEAO. What are you listening to specifically? Are you listening to podcasts? Are you like watching movies, TV shows, music? What are you doing to listen to Spanish speakers? Paulo Christ just says, I may definitely do that. Thanks. De nada. Con gusto. Deberías de hacerlo. Porque va a cambiar tu vida. It will definitely change your life. Learning Spanish has definitely changed my life in more ways than I can probably like think of right now. One being starting this YouTube channel. So for me to have like enough passion for learning Spanish to like start a whole YouTube channel, for me as fairly life changing, because like making YouTube videos has been pretty life changing in general. And the follower question just says, once I do, I would like to move on to French. Yes, you should, because it's going to be a lot easier. It's a lot easier. Once you know Spanish, it makes it a lot easier to learn French. Because I just started learning French this year, and there are so many. There are a lot of similarities, muchas similitudes entre los idiomas, entre ambos idiomas. Por ejemplo, te voy a poner un ejemplo. Venir is igual que venir. I was in the chat. So in English, not English, it's oh my gosh, my English is in Spanish, to see is venir. And then in French, to see is venir. So it's like the same thing. That's one. And there's also a lot of other similarities, like with verbs as well. And then in the words too, like transportation is just transportación. It's just I think it's spelled very similarly, similar. I can't speak English. They're very close, but with like the only main difference between that word is just the pronunciation of it. I'm trying to think. What's the other? Yeah, there's other verbs that are very similar too. I'm trying to think of one I can do a quick example of. Let's see. Poner, ver. Trabajar is kind of, yeah, work, work in French. It's kind of similar. Not exactly, but close enough. Like you can trick yourself a little bit. You can trick yourself into thinking that it's similar. That's what I do. So trabajar in Spanish is to work, and then that's the French equivalent, trabajar or travailler. I'm not pronouncing it correctly, so don't focus on my French pronunciation because it's terrible. But trabajar and travailler. So not exactly the same, but it's like, oh, you can definitely make the connection there. Sí, muy bonita. There's a lot of connections. I'm trying to think of another one. To put, ooh, to put. Who asked me to do it? To put. No, that's not right. Mm, plays. Oh, where is it? Oh, okay. Let's do this one. This was not similar to. It's not similar to Spanish, but it's similar to English. It actually kind of helps. Which is like to walk. So like march. Oh, I think I forgot the R. Oh, maybe not. Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be like yeah, marche. So that means to march. So it's or that means to walk in French. So I mean, it's not to walk, but it's like oh, when you march, you're kind of like walking a little bit. So that's kind of a simple connection. But yeah, all in all, definitely learn French after you learn Spanish because it'll be a lot easier. Once you learn one language, the second one is going to be a lot easier, a lot easier because you've already like how do I put this? Like for one, your mind is already adapted to learning a language because it takes time for your mind to adapt to a new language because at first it's very difficult, it's very tiring, but then you start to get used to it, you get less tired, you get into the flow of things, and things start to get a lot more simpler for you. You start to remember words a lot easier, and then you also know kind of different ways of learning that work best for you. So no, I've been doing this or learning on my own for 3 years. I like to say, more like 2 years, because more like 2 years. Right, the past 2 years, I've learned a lot about like how I like to learn, how I like to learn, and how I like to learn. What are the best ways for me to learn, and things like that. What are some things I don't like to do? What do I like to do? So once you figure all that stuff out with the first language, the second language is like fairly simple. Like the for French, I wasn't really thinking about any strategies. I knew exactly what I needed to do. Like I know like what are like the main words I need, or what words I should start using so I can actually become more fluent. Not fluent at all, but as far as like the type of words I would need to become fluent in French, just because I know what I needed now I know what type of words I needed with Spanish to become fluent. And a lot of that is like transitional words, which I think like a lot of Spanish or not or just languages in general might struggle with is that they learn a lot of words, but then they don't know how to connect them. So, you can learn words all day, which is really good. Learn a whole bunch of words, but then when it comes to, speaking, it's like, how do you connect these words together? How do you put words together that make sense? You have to make a sentence. It's not just, I know a whole bunch of words, now I can speak. Well, no, you have to put those words together that in a way that's going to make sense. So with French, I kind of know what those words are. They're just like a lot of transitional words and things like that. So I kind of study those right off the bat, and I don't just wait for. I'm not just studying like, oh, everything in the kitchen, um, plants, or whatever animals. I'm actually studying transitional words right away, so I know how words are connected in French. How are French speakers? How do they connect their words? So I'm like looking at those words, and then boom. Versus with Spanish, for me, it was like the opposite. I learned a whole bunch of words, but then I had no idea how to connect them. So that was like really hard for me as far as trying to become a fluent Spanish speaker. I didn't know how to connect anything at all. It was very challenging to speak with anybody because I didn't know how to say things correctly. I kept messing up, and because my sentence structure was terrible, my grammar was absolutely terrible. Um, yeah, I don't know how I started talking about that, but yeah. AEAO, AEAO. Let me know. Did you say it already? Um, what'd you say? Todo eso. Oh yeah, yeah. Let me know AEAO what you're listening to, or yeah, or how you're listening. Follower Christ Jesus says I definitely get that. Yeah, very difficult, but doable. Always doable. AEAO says no podcast. Aún necesito desarrollar mi habilidad de oír. Entrevista básica y practicar más con ejercicio de audio. Okay. So see, for me, for French, I do the opposite. So the first thing I started doing when I was learning French was listening to native content. That's what I do. I just boom, I immerse myself right away. Because for me, the point is, like I don't do the whole waiting thing. I don't do the waiting thing where you wait until like you understand a whole bunch of stuff. It's like, no, I don't like doing that. I like to listen to native content right away, even though I can't understand it, because there's a lot of things. You've already heard me say this like 1,000 times already, that you don't have to understand everything, like a native person is saying in a conversation to enjoy the conversation or to learn something. Even if you can't comprehend what a native speaker is saying, you can still learn a lot, because that is one of the ways that you become a fluent Spanish speaker is listening. That is a way that you increase, that is a way that you actually get a native accent is by listening, and then practicing too. But a lot of it actually starts with listening. Me gusta escuchar a noticias también. Yo también. I listen to a lot of news as well. I like listening to the Spanish news. And then I try to like to mimic their accent as well. I definitely like the news. Déjame enchufar mi cable de mi computadora, porque no, porque me falta la batería. Enchufar. Es un verbo que me enseñó mi tutora de ITALKI. Enchufar. It sounds really strange, but enchufar is like the plug-in. O se puede decir conectar también. Conectar. Conectar la batería, enchufar el cable de tu batería, lo que sea. O el cargador también, like el cargador, that can be like a charger too. El cargador o batería, pero yo tengo una batería de mi computadora, un poco diferente de una batería de un teléfono, de un cel, porque no necesariamente es una batería, pero es un cargador. Es un poco diferente. Un poquito. No tanto, pero un poquito. But explain to me more about cuando dijiste no podcast aún, no necesito desarrollar mi habilidad de oír. ¿Me puedes explicar un poco más sobre qué quieres decir con esto exactamente? ¿Estás diciendo qué? No entiendo un poquito, pero yo quiero asegurarme que yo entiendo claramente. So when you say that yo necesito desarrollar mi habilidad de oír for your podcast, what exactly does that mean? Ok, yo sé, sí, pero es muy difícil para mí. Mira, hermano mío, es difícil para todos. A todos nos cuesta entender, pero yo necesito entender un poco sobre lo que están diciendo. That is, como te digo, como les digo, este, it's just one way. It's one way of listening. There's multiple ways of listening to a podcast. There's multiple ways of listening to any kind of native any type of native content. So that's the thing. You don't have to comprehend even 50%. You don't have to comprehend 30% of what someone is talking about. You don't. It's one way. I mean, like that way is, oh, I want to, listen when I have, more comprehension. That's just what's it called? Ay, Dios mío. Se me olvidó. La estrategia. La estrategia se llama, oh yeah, comprehensible input. Comprehensible input. So that's just one method of increasing your listening skills and then just overall like learning a language. Comprehensible input. For me, I like to do just complete immersion, or at least now I do. With Spanish, it wasn't the same way. I was kind of doing the same thing beforehand. I was kind of just waiting, so I could understand before. But I like to listen to native content right away with French, um, because I kind of know what I'm trying to listen for to a certain extent. Like I can't pick out, for example, if I'm listening to something in French right now, 95%, 96% of that native content I don't understand. So I can't, if I'm hearing it, I can't pick out any words. I don't know how to spell anything that they're saying. I can't spell it. I don't know what words they're saying. I can't comprehend it. But that is fine because I'm still working on my listening skills. I'm still working on hearing hearing the way that they say the words, even though I don't know what they are. Eventually I will. And that's why it's really important. Even though you don't know what they're saying, you don't have that's just one way. You don't have to focus on what they're saying. Don't focus on what they're saying. Focus on how they are saying the words. Focus on the tone of their voice. Focus on focus on the way focus on the way that they're saying things. Focus on the way that they're expressing themselves. That's why it's really important. And it's also the way that you increase your accent. So for me with French, I can't understand anything, but it doesn't matter because I can still try to imitate what they say. It's kind of like almost like what babies do, or things like that. They imitate what they hear. They don't understand it, but you can still imitate what you don't understand. So como no sé, una palabra como la colgolación. You don't know what I just said, but you can still try to imitate what I said, and like it all comes together in the future. Basically, it all comes together in the future. Follower of Christ Jesus says that's me with Spanish right now. Yeah. And the reason why I say this is because the way that I learn languages is for me like basically like to prepare myself to live in a different country, basically. So that's why my whole strategy for like Spanish right now, and even for like kind of for French, kind of changes a little bit. It's not like stages. I stopped thinking in stages like, oh, right now I'm a beginner. Now I'm an intermediate. Now I'm advanced. I don't really think like that anymore because that's not necessary. I mean, it's logical, but I like to think about as far as like the whole learning process. If I had to live in France right now, then like regardless, I would have to be around French speakers. I'll be listening to basically like native like content all the time. I'll be surrounded by native content. So that's what I mean. Like right now, I can be like, oh, I don't listen to native content right now because I can't understand anything. But in the case that I had to live in France right now or another French speaking country, I'm always going to be around native content. So that's kind of why I have the mentality right now. Is because, oh, if I was there, I'd be surrounded by native content. So why not just start listening to native content right now, even though I don't understand anything? And then that kind of changed up my strategy for a lot of different things as well. And not focusing too much on comprehensible input, etc., etc. All right, so for the poll, we got 5 votes. 80% for the question. How many language goals do you want to reach in 2023? We have 80% for 1 to 5, and then we have 20% for zero language goals. So that's kind of the way I think. But of course, you have to kind of ease into everything. But yeah, that's kind of what I like to do. I like to really challenge myself and not stress out too much about not comprehending. With Spanish, I do because I'm very critical of myself when it comes to Spanish. But with French, I don't really care. I'll just I'll listen to all native content all day long and not care about actually comprehending it. It's fine if I don't comprehend it. Yeah. AEO says, comencé con español así. Oh, qué bueno. Esto es excelente. It's like, yeah, I mean, eventually you're going to have to do it. Eventually you're going to have to do it, or you're going to be put in a situation where you don't comprehend people in the first place. So that's why I always kind of promote that kind of thing. I promote that for like anybody who's learning Spanish. Spanish is not to listen to just not to listen to just beginner content, but actually listen to native content. Listen to native content every single day, for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Listen, at least once a week. Listen to native content. Don't just listen to beginner stuff. Beginner stuff is for for learning, right? You need the beginner stuff so you can get accustomed to the language and start to connect the words into phrases and so on and so forth. Um, but you're still going to be able to, even as a beginner, you say like you hear hola, right? Most people know what hola means. If they hear it in a TV show, more than likely they're going to understand what hola means, or like they're going to be able to hear when someone says hola in a TV show. Probably many times. I mean, maybe 50% of the time to be able to understand what hola means. So that's kind of like the benefit of that. You don't have to understand everything. That was my big issue. That's always been my biggest issue and a big insecurity of mine. Is like, well, I can't understand anything. Like when I went to the Dominican Republic last year, that was my biggest fear. I can't understand anything. I avoided conversations in the Dominican Republic because I couldn't understand everybody. And yeah, that kind of hurt my progress. That's for sure. Because I avoided conversations. but it doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit, just like once in a while. As a complete beginner, I mean, like with music too. I mean, you don't, yeah. It's like we don't apply this to like every single area. Be like, oh, I can't understand this. I don't listen to it. But we don't do the same thing with music. We can listen to Spanish music all day, but it's like when it comes to other things, like, oh, I don't want to do it. If it comes to a podcast or it comes to a TV shows, like, oh, it's too hard. But if it comes to like music, you can listen to music all day and not understand any lyrics whatsoever, and people don't usually have a problem with that. So that's kind of interesting. Um, Follower Christ Jesus. How did you find my channel? Because I don't know if I have seen you before in the live stream, or if I've seen you in the comment section of my videos before. But if you have been, let me know. But yeah, let me know how you found this channel. I like to know these things. If you don't mind. Si no te molesta. O si no te molesto. Déjame saber. Mientras eso, voy a tomar agua. Tomar. That's the hard part about Spanish. Because I can beber, yo bebo agua, and yo tomo agua. So you can drink water, they can also take water because tomar means to, the direct translation of tomar is to take. But it also means to drink for whatever reason. So that's kind of interesting. Pero en español, normalmente cuando alguien diga que oh, están tomando, like usually when people say like they're tomando algo, like they're tomando algo. I mean, it's like from what I've heard, it's mostly like I'm drinking. So someone says like, "Oh, estoy tomando," you can probably like assume that they are drinking alcohol and not just water. Versus baby in those like, "Oh yeah, I'm drinking water," or "Como estoy bebiendo té." Uh, yeah, but I mean they both work. They're both interchangeable. Ah, no hay problema. Follow Christ Jesus. Sorry, stepped away. No hay problema. Todavía estamos aquí festejándonos. And if you didn't hear, I was just asking you how did you find my channel, because I don't know if I have seen you before in the previous live chat, or if I have seen you in the comment section before in any of my videos. So I was just curious. But if you have been in the live stream, let me know that too, because it's possible that I don't catch everybody, of course. Okay. Father Christ Jesus. I don't remember how I came by your channel. Well, okay. How long have you been I guess how long have you been watching videos for? Or do you watch any videos on my channel? And if so, yeah, for how long have you been watching the videos for? If so. Your first live here. Have you watched any other videos, or my regular videos or my shorts videos? Any of those ones, or I just ask. I'm really interested in knowing how people find my channel and things like that, or like how people find my channel, how people start watching the videos and things like that. I think it's kind of interesting, so I can grow the channel even more. Podcast, Jesus, yes, I have, and I started watching a few of your videos a few days ago. Ah, que excelente. Me alegro mucho. And what do you think? What do you think of the videos so far? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Are you learning anything? And then the same question, como la misma pregunta para ti, EIO. Déjame ver qué es lo que... Bueno, déjame saber cuál es tu video favorito de mi canal. That's my question for you, AEO. And then, yeah, what do you like the videos? Were they bad? Were they good? And what other type of videos would you like to see in the future? ¿Cuál otros tipos de videos te gustarían ver en el futuro? Es más profundo que eso. Se necesita un poco de estructura. ¿Qué piensas sobre la gente que vive alrededor de hablantes nativos, pero no puede hablar el idioma aunque les redondeó? Ok, están rodeados de ellos. Ok. ¿Qué es más profundo que eso? Se necesita saber un poco de estructura. Okay, AAO says, what do you think about people who live around native speakers, but they aren't able to speak the language, although they are around, although they are around native Spanish speakers? I think they need to stop being lazy or stop being scared and start learning Spanish. That's what I feel. And I speak specifically about the retirees who are living in a different country. But you know, that's what just says they don't have to. There's a lot of places where there's expat communities where they might live in a Spanish speaking country, but like where they live, they're always still with let's say like people from the US or people who speak their language. So like they're still like with their like their people or whatnot that they're comfortable with, and they I guess they do everything in their language. I don't know how they do it honestly, unless I know like there's some communities where people the people there that they speak English and everything, but if you live in a place where they only speak Spanish, I don't know how people survive. I really don't know. I don't know how you survive without Spanish, but I definitely would say that they should probably learn it. Yeah, they should definitely learn Spanish. Es mi respuesta. Follow Christ Jesus says, yes, I like them about my videos. Yes, I like them. I love your enthusiasm for learning Spanish. Thank you. It took a long time. I wasn't always this enthusiastic about learning Spanish. Yeah, I definitely wasn't this enthusiastic. I used to not like studying. I used to get bored really easily. I used to get very, what's what I'm looking for? Desmotivado. I used to get very unmotivated for learning Spanish, very inconsistent. Well, actually, it almost took me after college, it took me almost like a full year to actually get serious again, because I really wasn't studying after college. I wasn't really studying at all. I listened to like some podcasts and that was it. I wasn't speaking Spanish. I wasn't studying it for almost like a full year until I actually got serious of learning the language. So yeah, it has taken a lot of time. It's taken these past 2 years for me to get to where I'm at today, to get mentally tough, get more discipline, and really fall in love with the language and studying every day and things like that. That's taken a lot of time. Pero muchas gracias. Muchas gracias por el cumplido. Thank you very much for the fine, very kind comments. And I'm happy that you can feel the enthusiasm, because for me, like when I make videos and stuff, I can't tell what other people really think or feel until they leave a comment or something like that. So I can't really tell like what I'm expressing. I can't tell people are going to like it. I can't tell I don't know what they think about me. Basically, I don't know what they think about me and things like that. So that's good to know. Y también AEAO, cómo se te ocurrió, cómo se te ocurría esta pregunta? Why do you have that? Why did you have that question, or how did that question come about? AEAO also says, sí, siento que se necesita un poco más que escucharlo. Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, yeah, it depends on. So AEAO says, I see what you're saying now. That people need more like structure. Then he asked me, what do I think about people who are living in Spanish-speaking countries, or and they're always around native speakers, but they can't speak themselves. And then AEAO says, siento que se necesita un poco más que escuchando a hablantes nativos. So basically, that they need a little bit more than listening to native Spanish speakers. And yes, that's the thing. You can't. That's I think that's like a big misconception with a lot of people, is that they can just listen to natives over and over and over again, and then eventually they'll become fluent Spanish speakers, or they'll understand everything that they're saying. And as an adult, that is not what happens. Like maybe as a kid, it does. I think it depends on what your surrounding is too. But yeah, just if you're old, it doesn't work the same way. It doesn't work the same way. Sí. No funciona lo mismo. No funciona lo mismo así. You can't just listen to Netflix all day or watch Netflix all day, listen to music all day, and like not study anything else. You have to put in work. And the same thing, if I had one person told me like, oh yeah, I want to move to Spain or Mexico so I can learn Spanish. But you don't have to do that. I became a fluent Spanish speaker en mi propia casa, en mi país, en el país donde yo nací. So I learned to become a fluent Spanish speaker. The majority of what I've learned is all from my home. I went to Mexico, went to the Dominican Republic twice. I loved it so much. But for me to become a fluent Spanish speaker, it wasn't from those places. I was only there for like 5 days. Mexico 5 days, Dominican Republic 5 days and like 6 days. But that's 15 days out of 2 years studying Spanish, almost every day. Everything that I've learned has been at home. So putting in work, studying a lot, writing, reading, listening, practice speaking with Spanish speakers. So like the majority I've learned has been at home. So yeah, just going to living in a Spanish speaking country does not mean that you're going to be able to learn necessarily a lot easier. If, like I said, if you don't have any structure, if you don't have a plan, it takes work. Eric's time says, mencionaste que aprender 3 idiomas al mismo tiempo es difícil. Bueno, solamente estoy aprendiendo 2 idiomas a la vez, francés y español. Estoy totalmente de acuerdo dejando esto de lado. ¿Cómo ves tu canal a futuro? ¿Cómo ves tu canal a futuro? Bueno, ojalá que yo ganaría. Yo creo ahora mismo yo necesito 80 más suscriptores para alcanzar 100, no 100, 1,000 suscriptores. Entonces, eso es la próxima meta que yo quiero alcanzar. Y para el fin del próximo año, en 2023, a fin del 2023, yo quiero alcanzar 10,000 suscriptores. Eso es mi sueño, eso es mi meta para el próximo año. Y sí, no sé qué más, qué hay más por venir. Bueno, porque todo eso para mí es nuevo y cada cosa es una sorpresa. Y sí, no sé, y todavía yo tengo muchas ideas para los videos, pero para pensar en cómo, qué tipo de video yo voy a grabar en agosto del próximo año, no tengo ni idea aún. Vamos a ver. Pero estoy súper emocionado para el futuro de este canal y ojalá que más gente eh, lo encuentre y también se enamoran con mis consejos y también con mi experiencia con este idioma y que podemos ayudarnos, porque es como este canal no simplemente es un canal de YouTube, pero es una comunidad, eso es lo que yo diría, eso es lo que yo le llamaría, es una comunidad de hispanohablantes, de estudiantes de idiomas en general. Entonces yo quiero crecer esa comunidad. Yo espero que todos podemos ayudarnos entre sí y sí, estoy muy emocionado. Vamos a ver qué pasará en el futuro. Y yo sé, porque todo depende a incrementar, como se dice, pasos. I mean, it's not just, I mean, sí, claro que sí. That, all depends on incremental, como se dice, um, pasos, poco a poquito, the pasos, sí. And it depends on the person, not because not everybody learns the same way. And that's a big thing too. That's a really big thing. Not everybody learns the same way. Like I have one friend, she does not like flashcards. She does not like learning with flashcards. I, on the hand, on the other hand, I love using flashcards. She doesn't like using flashcards. She gets bored. For me, I get bored sometimes, but I still love using flashcards, and I recommend people use them all the time. I definitely recommend people using them. I think flashcards are absolutely amazing. They're very useful. Other people, they hate flashcards and they don't want to do that. For me, I know I don't like doing. I think AEAO. You told me that you like to do you doing exercises maybe, or you didn't tell me como específicamente cuál tipo de ejercicios. But for me, I don't like doing any kind of exercises. So do I have it in the book here? No, I don't. But like in a grammar book or a textbook, you will see like fill in the blank, lines or something like that. I don't like doing those at all. I hate those. I had to do it in high school. I had to do it in college. I don't like doing that at all. I like to make my own sentences. I like to write whatever I want. I don't like answering questions like that are already pre-made necessarily. When I'm writing specifically, if I'm speaking, that's fine. I'll answer the question, but I can't sit down and just go through a list of 10 questions and just write out the answers to them. I can't do that because it's like, for me, it's just like homework. I don't want to do homework. I don't like doing it. So that's one thing I won't do. And just sit through a whole bunch of exercises. That's with French. I'm not necessarily going to do that. I mean, I guess with French, kind of to a certain extent, I'll be doing that because I kind of need that right in the beginning. I need to be able to, to answer certain questions. But I'm not going to sit here for an hour. I'm not going to sit here for an hour and go through lines of questions and answer the questions, answer each of these questions. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be thinking about my own sentences. I'm going to write them down on a sheet of paper, and they can repeat and do the same thing. That's more likely what I'll be doing with French, because I haven't been writing much in French at all. Yeah, I have not been writing much in French at all, but I need to start doing that a lot more. My excuse was lack of vocabulary because I don't have a lot of vocabulary. Well, I can't make sentences really like that, so I shouldn't be writing. But no, you definitely can, and you'd be surprised how much you know as a beginner. Let's say if you're studying if your main focus is studying vocabulary as a beginner, and you're doing that for a month consistently, you will be extremely surprised how much that you know. If you're studying vocabulary for a month, you actually know a decent amount. You know a lot. If you're just like if you're learning 5 words a day, that's a lot. You'll be able to comprehend a lot depending on what you're learning too. Like what type of words or what type of words that those are. Yeah, you'll be able to start. You'll be picking out like all those words and books when you're listening to a podcast, when you're watching a TV show. So you definitely be picking out a lot of words like that, even as a beginner. It only takes a little bit. That's a big thing too. And especially if you're like focusing on the main words, which is like what I'm doing right now. Like with French, I'm trying to learn like the basic transitional words because transitional words are always used. So that's why I'm focusing on those. So like but I think is like mace. And is e? No. No. And is no. So that's Spanish. And then it's like et or a. But T no se pronuncia. So it's like that. So I'm like learning these types of transitional words and then like como like perro. No, oh yeah, perro. But and is no, it's et, and then but is no because like pourquoi, algo así. Learning all these words because they're used all the time. If you learn just like 15 transitional words, you're gonna be seeing them in books all the time. But we're always using transitional words. But vocabulary is a bit different. You're not gonna see, very like a lot of science vocabulary, for example. In everything that you're reading. That's gonna be something more specific. But words like these, you're gonna see them a lot. Or like, like the words to be, or in Espanol, yo soy alto, yo soy gordo, yo soy bajo. You're going to see ser a lot. You're going to see estar a lot because those verbs are used all the time. All the time, those verbs are used. Estar, estoy, or tener, or hacer. Like if you just learn just like the basic, if you just learn the 10 verbs, just like just know the definition of them, you're gonna learn. You're going to be able to comprehend so much already just by knowing what the 10 common verbs are because they're used all the time. And that's basically my Spanish blueprint for verbs. That's basically it. It's little by little. It's more about focusing with learning Spanish. For me, the strategy is always focusing more on what you know versus what you don't know. As far as like communicating and comprehension. Of course, you're always trying to learn new stuff. When it comes to communication, always focus on what you do know versus what you don't know. If you only focus on what you don't know, then you're not going to get anywhere because you're like, oh, I don't know anything. No, you do know some things. You're not using what you have at the moment. So that's kind of like my philosophy. Pero sí, yeah, make sure that you like this live stream, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Then also share my videos on your Instagram. I don't know if you have Instagram, on your Facebook, yeah, your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Make sure that you share my videos, share my channel name, my channel page. Just promote it out. Trying to get the word out there. AEO says, no creo que como así, pero yo necesito estructura de preguntas, frases en audio como ejemplo. Sí, claro que sí. Tienes que mejorar tu forma de construir, construir sus frases un poquito. And the best way to do that when it comes to sentence structure is, well, I would say it's more about reading more than anything. Reading. I say reading because you don't have to actually comprehend it. You don't have to comprehend what a Spanish speaker is saying to be able to figure out, what sentences that they just used. And it's a lot slower because you get to go at your own pace. So reading is definitely probably one of the best ways to is probably one of the best ways to increase your ability to create sentences together. Reading, because I got this book here. I don't personally have to make. I don't have to make my own sentences. Let's say if I make a sentence right now, it could be wrong, or I don't know what I want to say. In a book, it's not the same thing. It's written by a Spanish speaker, then you know that is correct. Number one. Number two, you basically take what they have written, and then you start using that. That's how I've always learned. I always take what the Spanish speaker says. I always take what the Spanish speaker has written, and that's the way I do it. Okay. So let's say before I didn't know. Before I didn't know that I could say recuerdo que debo respirar. Let's say I said this sentence like acuerdo respirar debo que. That's very wrong. But here it's like, oh, me recuerdo que debo respirar. And it's like, all right, I know how this sentence is supposed to be written. I know how to actually say this sentence now. Before I was mixed up, but now I'm not. That's a basic principle of reading and like the benefit of reading. You know, you have everything that you need to help build your ability to create sentences because you have them already written out. And like depending on the book, it's going to be either like explanation of like of a story, or it could be people who are having conversations. Was probably one of the best things. Well, I mean, both are really good, but you see exactly how words are used in context from a native speaker. That's probably one of the best ways to increase your sentence structure. And then also, I can't remember if you told me, hey yo, are you using any language exchange applications? Language exchange applications for yeah, to talk with Spanish speakers. Oh no, I forgot that. To talk with Spanish speakers. That was also probably one of the best things that I have ever done. Oh, you're not doing that? Wait, are you talking? Okay, that's what you need to do. I'm going to put 2 on here in the chat. You need to use Hello Talk. This will be your new goal. You're going to be using Hello Talk and or Tandem. You're going to get a language exchange partner, which is nothing like serious. Really, just you can meet anybody on there on these applications, and you are going to meet someone, and then they're going to help you learn Spanish. I mean, basically, just having a conversation with someone from a Spanish-speaking country. Literally, if I go on, I have Hello Talk right now on my phone. Let me go on Hello Talk right now. So let me go on Hello Talk right now. I used to use it a lot more. If I go on Hello Talk right now, you can literally go to Momentos. No, let's go to Conectar. I can go on Conectar right now. Let's see if you can see it. So right now, there's like a whole list of people. Oh no, sorry. There's a whole list of Spanish speakers from all Spanish-speaking countries that you can contact literally for free. These are all people that you can contact right now. Native Spanish speakers. So this is on Hello Talk. This is women from Colombia, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, España, Mexico, literally from every country that you can think of that's Spanish speaking. And eso es Honduras, Costa Rica, Panama, Honduras, and like they have their own profile page where they post different things. That's what you need to do if you want to increase your knowledge of sentence structure. If you want to start writing better, start speaking better, start using language exchange applications. If you are not able to actually speak with Spanish speakers like in person yet, like if you don't have anybody where you live, then start using language exchange applications. I met like really good people on there, and yeah, and it's free. So you get free, and then they can like when you're texting someone, right? You can correct. So like more like this, they're trying to learn English or something like that, right? You can correct their English, they can correct your Spanish, and then you have exactly what was wrong. So what you have what you wrote was wrong, and then under that they can write what is correct. And then what I've done with that is I write all the correct. Or actually, no, I write the incorrect sentence, and then I wrote down all the correct sentences, and I wrote them down in a notebook, and then I just practice all the correct sentences over and over and over again, and that's how I corrected a lot of my grammar mistakes, along with learning Spanish grammar because I didn't know any of it. Yeah, so that's your new goal. That's a new goal for you. Get on a language exchange application and start meeting some Spanish speakers. All right, Paul C says, "Hi man, I have a question. I don't know if it's true at all, but I have done the present tenses and past tenses, and they were very hard for sure. Now I'm trying to take the future tense, and they heard it is the easiest. Is that true or not? Spanish is fun language for sure. There's always Spanglish. Claro que sí. Siempre hay Spanglish. Especially here in the United States, we have a lot of Spanglish here. I would say yes. That is probably. I would say it is the easiest. Yeah, I'll say the future is the easiest because literally the endings for AR verbs, for IR verbs, and for ER verbs, they're all the same. They're all the same. You don't have to change for those. So that's why the future tense is the easiest. But there's two different types of well, there's also irregular verbs too. You have to think, wait, habere, contaré, habere, habere, habere. I think there's some irregular ones too, but yeah, I'll say the future tense is like probably the easiest because there's less conjugation. There's just one ending that you have to remember. Then you just add, like, you don't cut off the AR, ER, IR ending. You just add one letter or two letters, and that's it. So it's fairly simple. The other way that you can talk about the future, right, is with ver, or sorry, with ir. So ir, say, va a comer pizza. Let's also talk about the future. It's just a different way of doing it. You're not actually. I mean, you're still conjugating, but it's not like the future simple tense. So voy a comer. It's just two different ways of talking about the future. So you can use ir, or it would just be like you would do comeré. Comeré means I will eat, or if it's you, tú comerás. As you can see here, I'm not cutting off the ending. The ending, the ER verb is not being cut off. You just add that. Yo comeré. Hablaré con, claro que sí. Hablaré con mi abuela. But then there's also some irregular verbs. I'm pretty sure I can look it up in my verb book here. Maybe I can do that. I'm pretty sure there are some exceptions, but they're very small. The rest of the verbs are they all have the same endings, and then yeah, the future tense is simple, to say the least. But that's basically all you do. Lucky for us. Yeah, I don't have the. How do you get the accent? Do I have the accents here? Para ti, ¿cuál es la fruta que más se ríe? Es la naranja. Ah, that's actually funny. I have not heard that one before. I'm gonna steal that joke. Thank you very much. So Paul C says, gracias por la información. If you like a joke, here's a joke. Para ti. ¿Cuál es la fruta que más se ríe? Which basically is, what is the fruit that laughs the most? Laughs the most, and it is es la naranja, because like naranja, like the ending of naranja is jota, and that's how you laugh in Spanish. That's a really good one. I like that one a lot. That's pretty funny. Claro que sí, yo voy a compartir con todo el mundo. Y voy a compartirlo con todo el mundo. Y para todos los que están entrando, you know what? I should do. I need to hold on. I'm gonna write down the same poll. Actually, never mind. Yeah. For all those who are coming, okay. Pause. Bueno, back to my studies. Gracias por todo. Hasta luego y cuídate. Igualmente, cuídate. Nos vemos en el próximo live stream o video o lo que sea. Nos vemos. And for all those who are coming in, make sure that you like this live stream. Give it a thumbs up. It should be below this video, something like that. My visual is a little bit different. Yeah, but make sure that you give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to this channel yet, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. And there's also some resources linked below in the description box if you need some. I have a Spanish grammar book, dictionary, then also some starter books in Spanish, and also a Spanish grammar book as well. Linked below in the description box. Don't have to use them, but they actually help me out a lot. So those are there available if you would like to use those. So one thing I want to share is some things that I would like to accomplish next year. I want to read a lot more books next year. This year, I have not really read that much, unfortunately, just because I've been kind of busy with things, and they have not been my priority. No habían sido mi prioridad este año. I've read, how many books I've read? I have read I've only read 2 books this year, which is, not a lot. I think last year I read more. Last year I read at least, I think maybe last year I read maybe like 3, probably like around the same, 3 or 4. But yeah, next year I definitely want to read more. Right now I'm currently reading. I need to finish. It's almost December. I have to finish this book. I keep saying it. I'm getting close to my page. We'll see. 162. La página 162. So 162. Corazón Blanco, escrito por un autor español. So written by a Spanish author. So I'm actually practicing my Castilian accent a little bit. My accent from Spain. So yeah, it's one book I'm reading. I like it. It's really interesting. So I want to finish this by the end of this year, which I will. I will do whatever it takes to finish this book because I started back in March. I'm still not done yet. This other book I want to finish, or this other book I want to read for next year, I'm really excited for it, is Yo no soy tu perfecta hija mexicana. I bought this book maybe 2 months ago, and I bought it just mostly because I've heard really good things about this book. So that's why I bought it. And I like kind of like fiction style books. Is it fiction or nonfiction? I think, this has to be a fiction book. But anyway, so I want to read this book for next year. That's one. This is what I do. I buy books and I don't read them. Or I buy books and more than likely I'll read them in like the next year. So I like to buy books that que me llaman la atención, that attract me. Another book I want to read is this. This is called 17 Minutes, Entrevista con el Dictador. So about Venezuela. So this is all about politics. Jorge Ramos is a writer. So he's fairly popular. He's I think he has his own podcast. I've seen him a lot on TV. I've seen him with interviews. I think maybe with Trump. I don't know if he was born in the U.S., but I think he's Mexican. But anyway, he's a Spanish speaker. He does a lot of interviews with politicians and like a news reporter, that kind of thing, or a journalist rather. So I definitely want to read this book because I like learning about politics. I like learning about that kind of thing, and I love history. And this is talking about oh my goodness, let me get his name correct for you. Nicolás Maduro de Venezuela. So if you haven't heard, a lot of crap going on in Venezuela, unfortunately. Not really good things. But yeah, that's one reason why I want to read this. Just kind of familiarize myself more with kind of Venezuela, what's going on there. And then learn more vocabulary that's related to politics. Let me see if I can find a sentence for you. Oh, here's one. That's kind of related to the politics and stuff. Okay. Criado una nueva y corrupta generación de gobernantes, militares, empresarios, comunicadores y sus colaboradores, con el único propósito de mantener lo que tenían. So phrases like that, it's like what you're reading, like some political books or like books about history and like leaders and things like that. Yeah, because talking about like the government, like military and things like that. That kind of stuff like really interests me. So I really want to read this book. I want to read both of these books. That is for sure, because I love to read. I want to read a lot more Spanish books. I read my first book in Spanish completely through 2 years ago. So really not that long ago. So 2020 was the first time I ever read a book in Spanish fully. So for me, it's like really, it was kind of a really proud moment. And yeah, I'm just getting started. I keep forgetting like how new I am to this. I started getting serious about Spanish like the middle of 2020, like in April of 2020 is when I actually started to learn Spanish every single day. So it's really not that far. I'm still a baby. I may be a fluent Spanish speaker, but I realize I'm still a baby. Like there's so many things that I have to learn. Like I have to learn how to drive in Spanish. I have no idea how to drive in Spanish. And by that, I mean, I don't know any vocabulary that's related to cars or that's related to giving directions when you're driving. I don't know any of that stuff. So I'm going through the process of that right now as well. That's one of my goals for next year too, is, you know, basically to be able to like talk with a native Spanish speaker, give them directions while they're driving, you know, talk about like, the lights of the car, talk about the doors of the car, that kind of stuff. Be able to have like a full conversation about traffic, have a full conversation about, you know, car things. Let me see. Another book. This book is very popular for like entrepreneurs, anybody, you know, business type people within the United States. I don't know if this is popular in other countries, but I got this in Spanish. It is, maybe you've heard it before, Padre Rico, Padre Rico y Padre Pobre. So this is more about like a finance type book. Let's see if it says. Okay, yeah. Here's a little como una descripción del libro que les enseña a los ricos a sus hijos acerca del dinero que los pobres y la clase media no. So yeah, this is all about like finances and stuff like that. So I like business, I like finance, and I like to learn how to, you know, be better with my money. So this is a book that I would like to read too, in Spanish. I'm pretty sure that it might bore me a little bit because there's a lot of things in Spanish or a lot of things within the like the finance realm that kind of bore me, but I'll get through it. This is like one of those books you can't just like read through really fast. Like this is one of those books that you should be like taking your time to read and taking notes because, you know, it's like very detailed and things like that when it comes to finances. It's more like, you know, those types of books and less of like a nonfiction book where just like, oh, I'm gonna read for fun and, you know, that's it. AEAEO says, piensas que hay muchos libros como novela en español. Claro que sí. Fui muy disappointed, decepcionado. Yo estuve muy decepcionado. No sé cómo se dice decepcionado cuando visitaba la biblioteca. Cuando visitaba la biblioteca. So with the verb visitar, visitar, you don't have to say, no tiene que incluir la preposición a, solamente con viajar. Yo voy a viajar a México. Yo voy a visitar o yo voy a viajar a, no sé, cualquier país. Pero con visitar solamente podrías decir, yo voy a visitar o no encontré nada cuando yo visité la biblioteca. Yo voy a visitar la casa de mi abuela. Así. Sin la preposición a. Solo con viajar se necesita utilizar la preposición a. Ajami, Ajami, I'm not saying it right. Perdóname, discúlpame, por favor. Ajami, bilingual secret says, creo que está bien, que estás leyendo muchos libros de temas diversos. Claro que sí, yo diría la misma cosita. Me encanta leer, me encanta aumentar mi vocabulario. Yo quiero un vocabulario muy amplio, para que puede hablar y conversar sobre más temas con hispanohablantes y tener conversaciones más largas, más profundas. Y sí, así es como se extiende las conversaciones o la duración de mis conversaciones, porque yo tengo más vocabulario, yo podría explicar más sobre un tema, o no sé, algo así. Eso me ayuda muchísimo, aumentando mi vocabulario. Así es. Those are only 3 books I think right now that I have, or new books that I've bought that I have not read yet. But I definitely want to read a lot more. Reading helps a lot with Spanish speaking fluency. A lot with Spanish speaking fluency. You want to become a fluent Spanish speaker? That's one thing that you can do. Apart from actually practicing speaking, so like both together work very, very well. For like learning sentence structure, learning how to use words, learning how to use words in in ideos, in contexto, in context. Also, for those who are coming in, let me know in the chat, de dónde eres, where are you from, and what are your language goals for 2023? Because that is el tópico de hoy. That is the topic of today. So talking about language goals for next year. Also, if you are not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Suscríbete, ay Dios. Suscríbete. That's always been very hard for me to say in Spanish. Suscríbete, suscribirse. Suscríbete a mi canal. Subscribe to my channel, and then also share my videos with your friends. Share my videos, I don't know, on your social media. If you have Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, make sure that you share my videos there as well. That helps out a ton. Me ayuda muchísimo si hagas eso. If you do that, because trying to go to the channel, I want more people to get interested in learning Spanish. I want more people to learn Spanish and know how to do it a lot better than I was doing 2 years ago, and better than I'm doing now. Ajami Bilingual Seeker says, how's your French going? It's going very slowly, but it's going. The hardest thing about learning French for me is, interesting enough, the hardest thing for me with French is dedication and discipline, because it takes a different level of discipline and interest and drive to learn 2 languages at the same time. For me, because learning one language is like, oh, for me, it's that's fine. It's just one language. 2 languages, it takes more time out of your day. It takes more time out of your day. It takes more energy out of you. Because language learning, it takes a lot of energy in general, mentally, than learning another one from the beginning, because the beginning is fairly challenging with that kind of stuff. I'll say it takes out more energy out of me. So that's gonna be the hard thing. And then for me also, it's been very difficult is establishing a schedule for studying French, because I'm so used to studying Spanish. I'm so used to it. My whole life is Spanish. My whole life has been Spanish for a while now. So I think trying to include French is like, I don't know, like buying another dog. It's like, okay, I've had this dog for 15 years, but now I just bought another dog. Like, how can you? I don't know how this dog can compare to this dog. It's kind of like that. If you got pets or something like that. But yeah, it's been kind of difficult. But I've been doing the bare minimum, I would say. I'm doing a little bit better now, but yeah, the hard thing is just the balance, because I study Spanish all day long, and then it's like I get to nighttime, or I've been like the past few months, I study Spanish all day, and then it gets really difficult for me to transition to French, because for me, I'm I'm here just like dancing. I'm dancing. I'm dancing to, to la salsa, to la bachata. I'm dancing. I'm listening to music in Spanish. But then, I had to cut that off. And for me, that's hard. It's really hard for me to just turn off Spanish music and then like, oh, let me study these flashcards for French, or let me listen to this podcast for French. So for me, it's been very difficult to make that transition. But like you just said, yeah, okay, understand something is better than nothing. Yeah, I mean, right now I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of native content actually. So podcasts, listen to some native podcasts, native content podcasts. Even though I can't comprehend anything, I probably can't comprehend 98% of what they're saying. But I like to listen to native content right off the bat. That's kind of my strategy. And then right now, I'm also, trying. I'm also reading too. Do I have my book right here? No. But basically, it's by the same author of short stories. Short stories and it's short stories by Ali Richards. So I'm reading short stories in French for beginners. Again, the same thing. I don't really comprehend anything, but I don't really care. I'm just trying to get very familiarized with how the words are because French is like fairly, like the way that it's written is fairly different from Spanish. There's a lot more apostrophes and like two-letter words, and it's like when you look at it, it's like confusing. Like sometimes for me, it just kind of like makes my head hurt. um, so I'm just trying to get used to the way that it's structured in that way, even though I can't comprehend anything. Yeah, so listen to a lot of native content. Vocabulary acquisition has been kind of difficult. I've been very lazy when it comes to vocabulary acquisition with French. I have some flashcards, but again, I've been lazy with that. I have not been putting up sticky notes, which is what I promote all the time on the channel, but I haven't been doing it with French. So I got to make sure I do that. I need to make sure that I make study my flashcards every single day. I have not been doing that. I have not been I haven't been learning new French words every single day like I should be. So yeah, laziness. Like I said, learning two at the same time is different from when I was learning one. I'm basically have to develop the same exact skills that I had to develop for Spanish. So for Spanish, everything right now is automatic. I don't have to think about it. I'm always thinking in Spanish. I'm always speaking Spanish. I'm talking with Spanish speakers. I'm reading in Spanish. I listen to Spanish content. Everything's automatic. I don't have to think about it. It's my life. Where French is not the same thing. I'm starting from zero. So I have to get into the habit of studying flashcards again, learning French grammar, sitting down, actually learning the grammar, different things like that. All that, this is all new to me. And then trying to balance that with my life, trying to figure out, where can I include French into my life? So it's a whole balancing act, which I've been learning all throughout this year. I realized how bad how long bad habits can stay for, and bad habits are really hard to get over. Language learning really requires a lot of discipline, and to get discipline, you have to stay consistent and you have to stay dedicated, and it takes a while to develop that. Like for many times throughout this year with French, I've had many times where I wasn't really studying at all. Like one Duolingo lesson, that was it. That is not enough whatsoever. At least like for me, what I want to do. And as far as like what I want to accomplish with French. 1 second. Let me read this comment here. Annette says my language goal for 2023 is to become advanced in Spanish. I like that goal. That sounds very nice. What my question for you, Annette, is how do you plan on reaching that goal? That's my question for you. What are you going to do to reach that goal? If you know. If you don't, that's also fine. Let me know that as well. But yeah, so yeah, trying to balance two languages has been kind of difficult. Well, I don't want to say trying to balance two languages is not difficult. What's difficult is just building the habit of studying both at the same time, and then stop studying Spanish. That's the hard part. I can study Spanish all day. French is different because I'm a beginner, and it's hard. It's challenging at the beginning because it takes you a little bit to you have to learn a lot of vocabulary before you can really start to comprehend a decent amount of things. And, that's the difficult part when you're a beginner in the language. Just like decent amount of vocabulary that you need to increase before you can start to comprehend. But that's like another topic I was talking about earlier, where like for that I don't really care. That's why I listen to native content. I'm already reading a book, even though I don't understand anything, because there's different ways that you can learn when you don't understand things. You don't have to comprehend everything to be learning. That's, I think, a misconception that a language learner may have, is that, oh, I can't learn anything if I can't comprehend when I'm reading. I can't learn anything, or I shouldn't read this book if I can't comprehend it. I shouldn't listen to this song if I can't understand it. I shouldn't listen to this native content. I should listen to this podcast that's completely in Spanish because I can't understand it. But that's like the wrong mentality. You don't have to understand everything that a native speaker is saying, or what a native speaker has written. You don't have to comprehend everything to actually learn, just to learn something. That's something that I had to learn a lot with Spanish. You can still learn a lot. That is literally one of my, not comprehending is where when I can't comprehend something, that is one of my best methods to actually increasing my accent or developing any kind of accent within the Spanish language right now. So with, let's say, like when I first started learning the Castilian accent a little bit, so the accent from Spain, I couldn't understand what they were saying at all. I'm not used to, I never heard really Spanish speakers speak like that. I was listening to their content, but I was listening to them. I was focusing on how they were saying things. Even though I didn't know what words they were saying, I still heard, how they were saying things. And that's how I started to develop my accent. So that is one way that you can still learn a language, so learn Spanish, is by just listening to how they're saying things and not trying to comprehend. When I'm when I'm developing my accent with Dominican Spanish, I'm listening for not what they are saying all the time. That's one part of it, but I'm listening to how they are saying it. Okay, they're not saying que lo que. They're saying que lo que, como tú estás, dame la luz, dime a ver. So that is like something like a really big important tip that I have for everybody. Yeah, you don't have to comprehend everything that people are saying to be able to learn. When I went to the Dominican Republic for the first time last year, I didn't understand a word they were saying. Not one, maybe like 3 words, but like it was so hard for me to comprehend what people were saying last year. But the thing was, I was trying really hard to comprehend, but I couldn't comprehend. But what I didn't realize, what my brain was doing, was it was starting to remember how they sound, or how the Dominicans sounded, what their accents sound like. I was listening for words, but then what my brain memorized was how they actually sound. I couldn't comprehend. If you can't comprehend something, you're not going to comprehend something, right? But my brain was like, all right, I can't comprehend anything, but I know how they're saying it. And then I somehow like developed like a little bit of the Dominican accent just naturally, just by listening to the content all the time, and then practicing a little bit. I don't know how I got to this topic. I forgot. But yeah. Annette says, listening to my local radio station. That's great. I do that too in the mornings. Talk radio. Issues in my country in Latin America. I read 2 local Spanish newspapers. That's awesome. Trying to make it a daily habit. Love to hear it. Yes, it needs to be a daily habit. I'm not someone who agrees with you need a break, or that you shouldn't study Spanish every single day. I think every language learner should be studying a language every single day, because you should be I can't say that word right now in English. Ay Dios. ¿Qué es la palabra correcta? ¿Cómo se pronuncia esa palabra? Mimicking. You should be mimicking. You should be doing what native Spanish speakers do. Muchas gracias, Ajami. You should be doing what native Spanish speakers do. And what do? They don't have a break from Spanish, one day out of the week. So that's the kind of mentality that I have. I think my way of like learning Spanish is kind of extreme, just from like traveling and stuff like that. And for me, it's like it's about like what really changed the way I study Spanish is like survival. So if I have to move to a Spanish speaking country, or if I have to move to France, and I don't know any French, then like regardless, I'm not gonna know anything. I'm gonna have to like learn something. You know, I'm gonna have to be around native Spanish speakers all the time, and try to learn something or blah blah blah. But yeah, I don't think that you should have any breaks. You should rest. You should definitely rest, and you should relax because again, it takes a lot of mental energy to learn a language. But I don't think that you should like take a day off because you don't take a day off from speaking. I don't know what your native tongue is right now. For me, it's English. I don't take a day off from speaking English. There's some days where I don't want to talk to people because I'm an introvert. But yeah. But as far as like a break, I don't have to take a break from speaking English. Like same thing with Spanish because it needs to be a part of your life. It's not just I had to change my mentality from like okay, I just need to study 20 minutes a day, blah blah blah. No, it's not I'm just studying 20 minutes a day. Learning Spanish is my lifestyle. Like Spanish is my lifestyle. Like I'm Latino. I'm Latino. Soy Hispano. Soy Latino. I'm Latino. Whatever. Like it has to be like more part of your life. It can't just be like it's just like it is something that I'm studying. That kind of thing. That's how I feel about it. Because you can definitely study every single day without getting very tired, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, you just have it's all about balance basically, but you definitely want to be learning every single day. That should be the goal. You should always be learning every single day. Just like if you were to, move to a new country, more than likely you would be learning something new every single day. That's what I would say. Ajami says, I agree with you. Oh, that's because I'm not necessarily learning just as a hobby, I guess. I'm learning Spanish because I want to use it for many different things. Yeah, different whatever business ventures. I want to use it for a job in the future. For me, it's not necessarily just a hobby, but it's a part of my daily life. I use Spanish all the time to communicate. I speak Spanish all the time. I'm always talking with my friends in Spanish. When I meet new people, like every single week, I meet new people. I'm speaking Spanish. That is my form of communication. I use Spanish all the time. So like for me, that's what like when I say that, it's just it's a part of my life. It's just I'm a part of Latino culture. I'm all that part of all that kind of stuff. It's just a part of my life. Okay, Jamie says I agree with you. Extreme is better than even if it might give us some headaches or some hard at the beginning. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, but again, like I said, it takes energy, but you should be resting. Like you shouldn't be killing yourself to learn a language. That is what I did, and I don't recommend it because it didn't work. Regardless, I got exhausted and I got burnt out. So, like even if you try to really push it, well, some people do. Like some people have very extreme methods of learning a language. I wouldn't say like mine's. I shouldn't even say mine's extreme because some people like they will try to learn. They will learn like 100 flashcards in a day, or learn 100 words in a day. I don't really do any of that. I do a lot slower pace than that, mostly because of like time and stuff like that, and energy. Like some people they do stuff like that where they're trying to learn as fast as possible. So they're just learning a whole bunch of vocab every single day, and I don't necessarily do all that. But then you also ask, what are your views on the A1, A2, B1 levels? I don't view them because I don't think about them. Give me 1 second. I need to fix my light, mi lámpara, because it's too bright. Ugh. 1 second. Or actually, no, there we go. That's a little bit better. Okay. Discúlpame. This one too. Un minuto, por favor. Esto. Okay. Ahí está. Okay. My views on it, I don't really think about them because I don't take exams like that. I don't like them necessarily because I don't think it really gives you a good picture of like what your level is at necessarily. I don't think it really gives you a good example of where you're at. You can because like I mean, if I read them right now, it's going to be like, okay, you can explain yourself. Oh no, you can talk about these different topics, blah blah blah, with ease, blah 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 blah. Like when you're in the moment, it's when you're actually having a conversation, it's different. Like reading that on paper is one thing, but then doing that in person is different, or having interaction with a Spanish speaker is different. There's a lot of things that aren't in those levels, or aren't in those different levels. Actually, let me just pull it up right now and read it. Um, this one is a CEFL, yeah, or CEFR. I'll just read when I'll try to explain what I mean. So, table one, global scale. Okay, here we go. Let's go to like the most proficient one. Can C1 is can understand. This is from Council of Europe. So this is a common European framework of reference for languages. CEFR can understand with ease virtually everything heard or read. That's very precise. Can summarize information from different spoken and written sources. Also very precise. Reconstructing arguments and accounts in a coherent presentation. I don't know why you want to do that necessarily. Can express him or herself spontaneously. That makes sense. Very fluently and precisely differentiating finer shades of meaning, even in more complex situations. Don't differentiating finer shades. I don't know what that means. That's kind of a weird phrase. The finer shades of meaning, even in more complex situations. I like that. So, like that, if you read that right, the experience that you have when you're actually communicating with a Spanish speaker, it doesn't connect to that, if that makes sense. Like there's a lot more going on when you're having a conversation with a Spanish speaker. For example, you have to get over your insecurities when you're speaking Spanish. You are like it's very simplified, but it's not that simple. It's more complicated when you're having a conversation in Spanish. But again, like this scale is based off if you actually take a test, right? Or you don't have to take a test to actually measure yourself. I think I used to measure myself to this, and I was just like, I don't know where I sit. Yeah, I don't really care for these. But if I take a test, I think like taking examinations is important, especially for what you want to do. For example, if you want to work, maybe you have to take an examination. But really, all of it is situational based. I think I should do a. That's a good. That'll be like a good video. I have a video about this already, but I think I should do something more in depth because right now it's kind of hard for me to really explain what I want to say. Um, because I guess maybe because it doesn't tell you what the process is like. You know what I mean? It says can express him. Okay, I know what I want to say right now. Can express him or herself spontaneously, very fluently and precisely. What does that mean? What words, what type of words are we talking about, what type of phrases, I think that's what this is missing a lot. You don't know what words those are, what phrases there are, or for how long should I have a conversation for. A lot of things are missing from it. um I don't think it's very helpful. Just like the college examinations, they weren't very helpful. I passed my college test. I passed my college exam. If I'm passing a college exam or a university exam from a very big university university, and they say like, "Oh, you're near native in reading and writing," but I still can't communicate with a Spanish speaker. It's like, what? Like, what's the use of it? And I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel. But I sucked at school. I sucked at school, and I wasn't good at examinations, and I definitely wasn't good at Spanish examinations in school. I never got an A. Didn't get an A. I maybe had a B minus in one of my classes, but I never had an A. I don't think I even had a B plus. I think the highest grade maybe I had was like a B, but that was only one semester. The other ones I did, yeah, not that good. Hope to answer your question. I mean, I can go more in depth into it, but I don't measure myself by that. I have my own measures of how I monitor or how I track my own progress. So I have 2 years ago I did try to again kind of go off this chart and say, oh, okay, am I doing this and this and that? But it doesn't tick off every box, you know. Yeah, I mean, because language is so complex, you can't just simplify it to a chart. It's language is more complex. That's kind of like the truth of it. And it doesn't tell you again about vocabulary. What vocabulary is is fluently, or or what is fluently. Like you would have to dive. I would have to explain to you what fluency is, and you have to explain to someone. That's why it's best to figure out what your goals are and go based off of that, because that's really like the kind of like your own internal your internal goals, and what you desire to accomplish with the language. That's probably like the best kind of measurement that you would need. Depending on what you want to do with the language. Again, like I said, if you want to become an interpreter, if you want to be a bilingual interpreter or something like that, or you want a bilingual job, then you would have to go to that company and ask what the requirements are, and they're going to be different for every company. It's going to be different for different jobs and things like that. The qualification can be very different. For like some bilingual jobs, maybe you would have to take an examination. For other ones, maybe you don't have to take an examination at all, or maybe you need some certification for for one job for one company. Another job, another company, you don't. It just depends. So that's why the A1B1 stuff, like it doesn't tell you that much about like what you're actually capable of. If that makes sense. Como así estoy hablando ahora mismo, cómo me vas a dar una calificación? ¿Cuál es mi calificación? Eso es lo que quiero saber exactamente. Like, classify what that is. Is that B1? Is that B2? I don't know. Who knows? One, for all those who are interested in learning how and learning what type of jobs are available, what jobs are available for like Spanish speakers, or just anybody who has language skills, anybody who's learning a new language and they would like to have a job with their second language, with their language, or what your target language in general. I would definitely recommend brand the interpreter. Listen to this podcast. This podcast is absolutely amazing. Um, I'm not getting paid for this at all. Just kidding. No, I'm not getting paid. Not getting paid for this at all. But I highly recommend looking up this podcast. There's some episodes on YouTube, but I would just go to the podcast itself. She also has a website. Her name is Medea Perez. You're going to learn a ton about the interpreting industry. So there's a difference between interpreting and translating. Interpreting interpreting is actually like interpreting speech. So like, okay, I'm saying something right now in Spanish, or no, in English, and then interpreting is, okay, estoy diciendo algo en español. Then I would do that. You take what that person is saying, and then you interpret it, and you're basically being like a medium between two different people. This person speaks English, this person speaks Spanish, and then you're just interpreting what this person says to that person, and then vice versa. But translating is doing the same thing, or actually not doing the same thing. You're translating written material. So you could have a job where you're just translating a whole bunch of English material, like I say, like an English book to a Spanish book or something like that. It's a lot of different jobs. So this podcast is really good because there's a lot of episodes with a whole bunch of different types of interpreters and also translators. They have their own different experiences. They have different qualifications. They're all in different types of industries. You have some who are in legal, some who are working in the gaming industry, one who working like with like weddings, interpreter who's working with weddings, one interpreter who's working with education in the educational space or in the business space. So I would highly recommend listening to that podcast. I like that a lot. That really helped me to understand, what I can do with my language skills, with my Spanish skills, if I do have a desire to do that. So right now, I'm just gonna bring it up here and see if we can see it. Maybe not. Probably not. No. Anyway, you can see it in the chat here. So yeah, I'd recommend that one. And yeah, let me know in the chat. How did you find my channel? And what do you think of my videos? Oh, follower question says, I get what you're saying because after stop practicing Spanish, I didn't even remember most of what I learned. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Lo que no se guarde, no. Okay, you can say this in Spanish for like two different ways. You can say like the romantic way, if it's like with a relationship, or you can say like with like work a different way, just like in just stuff in general. Lo que no se cuide se pierde. So like what you don't take care of, then you lose it. But in this case, I would say lo que no se practica se pierda. I would say that. So I would say it that way. So like what you don't practice, you lose. So let me know that. And then also make sure that you give this live stream a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Suscríbete a este canal. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. Also, make sure to share my videos as well on your social, on your tweeters, on your Twitter profile, your Instagram profile, or Facebook, whichever. Just trying to get the word out there, trying to grow the channel more. I want more people to be interested in learning Spanish, and I want to be able to help others learn Spanish as well. Yeah, because I give a lot of advice, and I've learned a lot from my own mistakes. So yeah, I love to give as much advice as possible of how to learn a language. That's something that I'm very passionate about. So I want other people to be very passionate about it as well, especially because learning Spanish has changed my life in more ways than I can think. For example, this year I started dancing. I've been dancing. I've been taking dance lessons for bachata y la salsa. Y también como yo bailo el merengue a veces y merengue y la cumbia. So I started doing that this year. I've never done that before until this year. Last year I was never dancing, unfortunately. I went to Dominican Republic, but I didn't dance there because I wasn't a dancer. This year I'm more of a dancer. I've been dancing for 6 months. No, like 5 months, 4 months, something like that. So yeah, that has changed my life as well because I've met a lot of people, a lot of Spanish speakers. Because now I'm going to a place where there's always Spanish speakers. I'm going to discotecas, basically just like a Latin dance club where they only play Spanish music, and they're dancing with Latin style dances. So bachata, merengue, salsa, cumbia, merengue, salsa, bachata, salsa. Yeah, those ones. There's more too. But yeah, that's one way that's really changed my life this year. Is learning how to dance, and I have like a whole group of friends now. We all dance. We see each other like almost every weekend. So that has been absolutely amazing. Yeah, I love it. I get to listen to Spanish music. I get to dance with different people, and I get to practice my Spanish a lot. And it has told me, or it has shown me how much I don't know in the Spanish language. Because guess what? Do you know, or you can say like, do you know how to guide somebody in a dance, but in Spanish, and with the bachata y la salsa? That's very difficult. That is something I'm struggling with right now because a lot of words I don't know. Parts of the bodies, different movements. There's more vocabulary that I don't know about dancing that I'm learning right now, like un giro, or una vuelta. Those are turns in Spanish. So un giro or una vuelta. Yeah, un giro, una puerta, o como podría decir, como pásame tu mano, y voy a agarrar tu manita, y te voy a dar una vuelta. So that's just like, I'm going to grab your hand. Oh, bueno, y voy a agarrar la mano derecha, y yo voy a dar un giro así. So it's like, I'm trying to learn all this stuff because at every discoteca that I go to, it's primarily Spanish speaker, which is absolutely amazing. So I have one location, one central location where I can just like practice speaking Spanish all the time, which is very difficult. Again, like I was saying, because like when you're meeting new people, for me, it's very difficult to do, especially with Spanish, because I'm meeting people from all over the world. I've been meeting people from not all over the world. I'll say more from like the hemisfero este or oeste, more from like the Western hemisphere. So I've been meeting people from like Mexico, Colombia, Costa Rica, la República Dominicana. Yo quiero decir Costa Rica, Panama, and they all dance differently because they dance different ways. Like salsa has different types of dances depending on what country you're in. You have like Mexican salsa. You have, I think, salsa from Nueva York, from New York. You have Colombian salsa. There's Dominican salsa. So depending on where the country that they're from, they dance differently. Um, so that's kind of fun. But anyway, I was going back to like the vocabulary. So I want to be able to guide my dance partner, but in Spanish. But right now I can only do so much because I only know so many things in Spanish. But then think about it, we're listening to Spanish music, so it's loud, and then trying to do that in Spanish so she can actually hear me. That's very, my dance partner can hear me. That's very difficult to do, to say the least. So yeah, like there's a lot of different vocabulary words. Like I said, un giro is a turn. Una vuelta, like la misma cosita, is the same thing. Una vuelta, un giro. Agarrar means to like grab. So that can be like agarrar la mano, or I can say yo ofrezco mi mano. I'm going to offer my hand up. It's actually like very beautiful. Ofrecer, ofrezca la mano. It means like to basically to give your hand out to your dance partner. Ofrezca la mano, o suelta la mano. So these are a lot of words that I'm hearing from my dance instructors, and also I'm learning a little bit from YouTube. I mean, mostly it's like the same thing. I have to learn all this vocabulary because it's all new to me. But agarrar la mano, agarrar la mano, así, agarrar. So that's to like grab the hand. Suelta la mano, suéltala, suéltala, which means like to let go of the hand. Da una vuelta con la mano derecha. I'm going to give a turn with my right hand. No te mueves, no te mueves, which means to don't move. Because como yo, siendo el líder, oh no, I say that, like the leader in a dance, right? Um, like your dance partner, like the woman, like she's supposed to be like follow me or whatever. So like, how do I explain this? Como te explico? Como like I'm kind of guiding her with my movements. So like with dancing, there's less talking, and the way that you communicate was with your hands. So if I push you like this, y voy a empujar la manita con esa manita así, and then she'll go back. Or if I, to make a turn, para dar una vueltecita, y voy a agarrar como unos dedos o la mano entera, así, agarrarla, y voy a dar una vuelta así. Yo tengo que empujarla y girarla y guiarla. ¿Me entiendes? So that's kind of how you do with dance. I don't know how I got into this subject. Oh yeah, because it changed my life. So there's a lot more words too. La espalda, el hombro, los hombros. Por ejemplo, yo voy hasta cuando te toque ay Dios, en tu hombro, vas a girar. So like I'm trying to think of all these different things that I can say in Spanish to my dance partner. So like when I touch your shoulder, you are going to turn. Vas a dar una vuelta o vas a girar. You're going to turn, pero a este lado, no por frente, pero para atrás. And like there's a lot of there's so much vocabulary that's related to dance. It's like pretty amazing and it's beautiful. So that's why I'm like kind of like nerding out on this right now, because there's a lot of things to learn, and because I'm dancing with so many new people, there's always an opportunity, to introduce myself in Spanish and to have a little conversation. But like a lot of times I get fumbled over my words because I'm nervous and stuff like that. Okay, Ajami Bilingue Secret says, I found your channel on Lang Tweet. Awesome. Shout out to Lang Tweet on Twitter. If you don't follow Lang Tweet, you should do that. It's fun. I love Twitter. I think they are good. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Paul Christ, he just says, yeah, I think I saw the short video you dancing with a blouse on a chair. Yes. Yeah, I saw it practice a little bit. And the reason why I do that is because I saw someone on Twitter do it, not Twitter. I saw someone on TikTok doing it. So then I started doing it too. Nice way to practice. It is, except for my chair back there. It's demasiado baja. It's like way too short. It's way too short. So like if I try to do a turn or something like that, like I kind of like hurt my neck. So I gotta be careful with that. I need like a taller chair or something like that. Paul C says, hey, I found a video for you, and it's called Is Spanglish a Real Language? Claro que sí. Es un idioma real, from YouTube called Ollie Richards. Oh, he made a video about that? Yeah, I know Ollie Richards. I've had a brief conversation with him before. He has more videos on Spanish and then some, so you can check it out. Yeah, yeah, I watch a lot of his videos. I like the way that he teaches Spanish. Ajami, okay, muchas gracias por venir. See you later. Thanks for joining the live stream. Sí, cuídate y nos vemos muy pronto. Paul C says, I felt like telling you this because you have helped me out. Oh, so much, and also your fans so much. So enjoy y luego de Canadá. Okay. Me encanta oír eso. Estoy aquí para ayudarle, ya tú sabes. Para ayudarle con español, mejorando sus habilidades. Y toda esta vaina. And it says, your channel inspires me because of your joy of learning a new language. It's contagious. Es contagiosa. I like to hear that. You're very smart. I like your spirit. Thank you. Sometimes I don't feel very smart. Actually, most of the time I don't feel very smart. Mostly when I make up and when I make mistakes, I don't feel very smart. Pero muchas gracias. I like your spirit. Me encanta tu espíritu. Muchas gracias. And the question is, how did you find my channel? If you are just joining in, how did you find my channel? And what, if you like my videos, if you do, what do you like about my videos? As well, make sure that you give this live stream a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to this live stream, make sure that you subscribe to the live stream. If you're not subscribed to this channel yet, make sure that you do that as well. Check out some of the links in the description box of this video too, or this live stream. I have some different resources like Spanish dictionary. I have this Spanish verb book that y'all can buy from Amazon. Then I have some starter books as well. Some starter books as well. One for intermediate learners and one for beginner learners. But I mean, really, you can buy both of them at the same time. You can read the intermediate one right away. It doesn't really matter. But these two are also linked in the bottom the description box. And then the Spanish grammar book. So I have all these different resources down below. Oh, I haven't been talking about ITALKI at all, which is weird. I usually always talk about ITALKI. Then I also have a link for ITALKI too, where you can get discounts or one discount on your italki lessons. So if you're taking italki lessons, or if you're interested in taking some online language lessons, you don't have to be for Spanish. You can use them for anything on the platform. That is also linked below in the description box of this video. So that's something you should be aware of too. So yeah, make sure you check out the resources down below in the description box. And sí, y déjame saber lo que piensas. Let me know what you think about the YouTube channel, and what is your favorite YouTube, or what is your favorite video of my channel so far, if you have one. If you don't, that's also fine. If you don't like any of them, you can also tell me that, because I like to hear a lot of critiques. I like to hear comments. I want to know how the videos are doing. And I also, of course, I have 3 other videos coming out that I will be publishing this week. So make sure that you are aware of that. Turn on notifications for my new videos. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the video I have for tomorrow, for all of them, but really for the especially for the one for tomorrow too. It's really exciting. Voy a esperar para las respuestas. And then after y'all respond to those, me tengo que ir. So I will end the live stream pretty soon here. After I receive some of your responses, because yo tengo que ir. I have to go pretty soon here. Annette says it has nuggets of learning in all of them. Oh, that's good to hear. Because I really can't tell. I can't tell unless like people tell me if the videos are good or not, or if people are learning. I have no idea if people are learning or not. So that's kind of like my big thing. I can't tell how how much someone is learning. Let's say, they say like, oh, I'm learning something, or that was new. So it's really good to know. Muchas gracias. Hay otras cositas. Oh, how did I forget? And also, if you would like to support the channel, you can also donate, donar dinero, donate money on my Buy Me a Coffee page, and that is also linked in the description box of this video, of this live stream, and then also like the rest of my videos. Same thing with the other resources that I mentioned, the books, Spanish grammar book, and then also the discount for ITALKI. All those resources and where you can donate, that's all in the description box of all my videos. So not just this live stream, in case you didn't know. Pero bien, creo que llegamos al final, o al fin, algo así. Al final, sí, al final o al fin. Una de esas cosas. Al fin de ese live stream, I want to thank all of you for joining. Thank you very much. This was a great conversation as usual. I love doing these live streams and connecting with all you, communicating with all y'all, comunicando con ustedes, platicando sobre español, sobre los idiomas. Siempre, mil gracias. A thousand thanks. Siempre es mi placer para platicar con ustedes. It's my pleasure to talk with all of you. And yeah, ya tú sabes, que nunca pares de estudiar español, estudia cada día y sí, nos vemos muy pronto. Estar atento para mis futuros videos. New videos coming out, so make sure that you hit the notification bell for those, and watch my other videos. Binge watch my other videos if you haven't yet. I have 116 regular videos, I think, like 115 or 114 videos, something like that. Regular videos, and I have my live streams too that you can watch if you're interested in those, or my shorts videos. I have a few of those. Also, I'm on Instagram too, under the same name, Spanish Blueprints. Twitter, Spanish Blueprints. If you want to contact me, yeah. Then my email is on this YouTube channel if you want to email me as well. And yeah, that's kind of my contact there. So nos vemos muy pronto. Thank you again for coming. Y cuídense y have a good week. And don't forget to study and immerse yourself in the Spanish language. Adios. And thanks for coming, follow Christ Jesus. This was awesome. Take care and have a great day. I said to read that real quick. Muchas gracias. Adios.